Awareness, the final frontier. This is Awareness Explorers.
Welcome back, fellow explorers, to Awareness Explorers. I'm Jonathan. I'm here with my friend and co-host,
Brian Tom O'Connor.
and it's another interview of someone that I know little about, and Brian knows much more about, but I've been looking at his website. He sounds like a very interesting guy. So let me tell you a little bit about Robert Rugg. He's the founder of Effortless Being Publications, a guide in the art of transformational presence. He's also the author of several books, one being Awakening to Effortless Being. He helps people awaken to their true nature, not by fixing, but by reflecting. I'll definitely have questions about that. Through mirror sessions, books, group mentorship, certification programs, and retreats, Robert holds space for others to live in alignment, clarity, and inner freedom. His website is effortlessbeing.net. First of all, congratulations on getting such a great website name.
Thank you.
You must have done it early.
Yeah, I did that real early, like years ago. Well, I had established the YouTube channel, Effortless Being, and then had gotten effortlessbeing.net. .com was taken, and .org. As you know, David Farmer, he has the .org one, which is pretty neat website
Right.
as well.
So, Robert, you've been obviously into this for quite a while, but I don't know how that happened, what your story is. In interviewing a lot of people, some people have a very quick awakening, some people it's a very slow process. What can you tell us about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, the way it came about for me was I was searching when I was young, when I was about 18 years old. I had gotten something called Hodgkin's disease, which was it's a form of cancer, like of the lymph nodes. And so at that point, I started searching. I started questioning life, like, what's going on here? This doesn't feel right to me. Something's off. And so I started like a search, like, why is this happening? Why does this happen to people? I started saying, why does God permit wickedness? And, why are these things happening? And when I look in people's eyes and stuff too, I would see a lot of them, they look stressed out, or they look like they weren't here, like they were lost in their thoughts. And I just saw a lot of like the world, that the way that I was perceiving it at that time, just looked dark and whatnot. So I just started questioning things. So I started reading, going online, trying to, I turned to religion, didn't really find it there, because there they were talking about how, you're a sinner and you got to repent and you got to, do all these things, and that you're already broken and stuff like that. And inside I kind of knew like something didn't feel right. Like my intuition was telling me like, there's got to be more to this. This doesn't feel right in my body. And just so I started just searching. Then I got into like self-help, like Tony Robbins, that kind of stuff. I thought, well, maybe that will do it. I'll try to improve myself. But what I found there was a lot of effort, like trying to improve myself. And then I turned to like law of attraction teachers, like Rhonda Burns, Abraham Hicks, like those kind of teachers. And there they would talk about, how you can create your own reality. You can make your reality better. And it just like your thoughts turn to things. So if you put your attention on your thoughts, you can create the reality that you want, as long as you don't have like a thought that's in contrary to it. You can kind of manifest what you want. So you can create the life. And that appealed to me because it was like empowering, because previous to that, it just felt like I was in like that, what they call victim consciousness, where everything was happening to me and I had no control over it. This sickness was happening or this would happen. And I just kind of felt like helpless, you know what I mean? So when they were giving me that message, I was like, oh, wow, maybe there is something to this. I can feel empowered, I can feel good. And, there's some hope here. But what I found with that too, that was also a lot of effort as well, because, now you're manifesting from lack, and so everything that you would manifest would have that tinge of fear or lack into it. So I knew that really wasn't it. That didn't feel right. My intuition was telling me there still has to be something more. Well, Rhonda Byrne had come out with The Secret, and that was all about, manifesting and creating your reality. Then she came out with a second book called The Greatest Secret. That book was totally different. I wasn't expecting that when she came out with that book. It was a totally different different way. Now that one was more based on like non-duality teachers were in there, like, Rupert Spira and, all those ones, Francis
Yeah, that was
Steele.
surprising.
Yeah.
I read that too. After reading her first book, I didn't expect that second one, which is a very good non-dual book, and unfortunately, it wasn't as popular, but it was really a wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were expecting like more of the manifesting. And when she came in and snuck in with that, everybody was surprised, like, "Whoa, wait a second, what is this?" And they had a lot of so that was like my introduction to what they called non-duality at the time. I didn't know, but as I tell
Hmm.
the story, you'll see how it all came about. So in the greatest secret, I really liked the audiobook because I would drive around. I was like I'm like a delivery driver, right? So it was easy for me just to listen to audiobooks. By the way, she did a really good job on the audiobook. I don't know if you guys had heard her audiobook on that one, but she had like a lot of the speakers like Muji's voice or David Bingham's voice, like they were like on there when they were saying the quotes, and they had a lot of the background, which is a lot of different. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. That one was really well done, with all of the background and everything.
Yeah, I agree. I listened to it on audio, and I was impressed. It was lovely to hear David Bingham and Rupert, and I think that she even had Pamela Wilson, and
Yeah.
it was really it was really, really well done.
We
Yes,
should
yeah.
get her on the show.
Yeah, definitely. She'd be a good one.
Yeah,
She's
but
hard
go
to
on.
get. She doesn't do that many interviews though. Like it's really hard to get her.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that was really well done. Really, really well done. And so then so I'm listening to it, right, to the audiobook, and then David Bingham had said the words, "You are the infinite being having a human experience." And when he had said that, at that moment, I don't know, something happened. Like I was almost like a clear seeing, because up to this point, I had just viewed myself as this separate person called Rob, and I was broken. I had these stories, this history of cancer and problems or whatever. But when he said you are the infinite being, something inside me, like I almost like remembered, like, wait a second, I'm the infinite being. I've always been this infinite being or this space of beingness or this awareness, this impersonal beingness that's always been here. But I just couldn't reconcile, like, well, but I'm still having a human experience. So the human experience was still happening. Rob was still, a dad, and he was going to work and, doing his thing. But the whole time, I was remaining as this spacious beingness or this infinite being that was always here. And it was like this Rob character was like doing its thing, but it was happening within this beingness that I am. And the beingness was permanent, but the story or the life experience or the human experience was still dancing in this space of beingness. So that's like kind of like when he said that, I kind of recognized that. And so then I just, had sent him an email, what I was seeing and stuff. And he's like, oh, that's called non-duality, self-realization. And I didn't understand what all those terms meant, and things like that. And then he asked me to do an interview on Nothing Media, which they were more like into like radical non-duality, like Tony Parsons. I don't know if you're familiar with some of this stuff,
Mhm.
like that kind of stuff. So Luciana, wasn't Emerson, it was Luciana who had interviewed me. It's on my YouTube channel. You can see it. It was like, I don't know, 4 years ago, whatever it was that I did it. But it was just when this just had just happened, and David asked me to do that interview. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And it was really it went good. Some people started contacting me from it, and that's how I did my YouTube channel, and everything kind of just evolved, from there, because people would start asking questions about what this was. And through that interview, I could kind of understand, what they were saying about, non-duality, how everything is one. There's not two. It's not like you're separate, like Rob's here and the world's out there and everything's happening to me. It was more, we're this space of consciousness or this space of awareness, this beingness, this impersonal beingness. And then, the human experience, the body is moving around in this and having this experience, here in this space of beingness. So everything is really one. It's kind of like that light of consciousness where it's encompassing everything and everything is within you. And it was kind of like, that's kind of like what I was experiencing, in my direct experience. So that really spoke to me. I was like, wait a second, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. So that kind of,
I'm curious,
related to it.
Robert. I have a question about that.
Yeah, yeah.
When this happened, was it like a somewhat dramatic shift that kept going? I mean,
Mhm.
I hate people like you who just hear a sentence and they wake up and that's it. I've been at this for 40 years
Oh,
and
okay.
um, but it does seem to happen to people like that. I'm wondering, was it? a really big shift that just was somewhat continuous, or would it go in and out? Would you oscillate? How would that work?
Yeah, when you said that, because David said that, he says, "Wow, this is, I'm starting to see like there was a few people here now where they're just doing like you said, this spontaneous awakening." I don't know what he really meant by that. And then he put me in touch with David Farmer because he around that same time that was happening to him, and he kind of put us in contact, and we would talk about, well, what is this? Because I don't really understand. Like I don't know. This is just what was happening. And so we would talk and stuff like that, and he could understand what I was saying because he was going through similar things. That's probably why David put me in contact with him. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of just stayed there. Like I've always like in the beginning when it first happened, I remember sitting out in my backyard and I just wanted to marinate in the beingness. Like
Yeah.
I already felt like whole and complete. Like I really didn't need anything. And I was just like I didn't. I was just like wanted to be in the silence. Like I felt like so full. Like I didn't really want like anything else. Like I would just sit in the backyard and just be with the trees, be with nature, petting my dog. Like, and I would just, you know, and I don't want to say it's like when people listening to this and like because I do a lot of coaching and miracles and things like that with people who have questions about awakening and self-realization. One of the things I found is it's not an experience. There's a lot of people that keep them seeking because they think that self-realization or awakening is an experience. It's not, because experiences come and go. That's not what this is. This is just, it's all it is it's really simple actually. All you're doing is just realizing, what you truly are and what you've always been. Everyone right now is remaining as the pristine infinite being, and at this point they're just not recognizing it because the mind will come in and say, oh, you're not self-realized, or you're not whole, you're not complete, or the mind, the commentator, will come in and start questioning what this is. And then what happens is people are identifying with that separate character. But if you can just see through it, and that's kind of what happened there, I kind of saw through it, it's like once you see through it, it's like kind of like when even if the mind's telling you things, you're not believing it. It's kind of like, the tooth fairy when it comes along, your mom and dad are telling you about the tooth fairy and you find out it's not real. But if I'm around like, a little kid or something, and they believe it, I just pretend. And that's kind of like how it is now. Like a lot of times I might just pretend to be the character, but I let the character do its thing. But I'm just always, like if Rob falls down as the character. Oh, that's cute. He fell down and scraped his knee and, that kind of thing. But so it's kind of like, it takes like the seriousness out of it because it's like, there's really nothing serious going on. And, consciousness can't be hurt by anything happening in the manifestation at all. So there's really nothing here. There's really no problems here. I mean, when you say it, like I'm speaking now from the infinite being, from that perspective, from consciousness, when you're speaking from there, there is no problems here. Everything is fine. Everything is whole. Everything is complete. Now, if you're speaking from the character, from the human experience, if you're looking from there, well, now you feel like you're separated. You have all of these problems, and it's a totally different way of looking at the world and looking at yourself. What you truly are. So it all starts with, what am I? It's that clear seeing of what you are. And that's kind of like where that piece that's in the background comes about. But it's not like an experience, like people have experiences, but I think that's what keeps them seeking, because they're thinking they have to maintain that level of experience. But that's not what it is. It's just very ordinary. It's just what's here right now. It's just been mislabeled. Like it's mislabeled Rob. Like that's what people have told me, that what this is, that can see, smell, taste, touch, that which is awake, that which is alive. They're saying that this is Rob and that I'm separate and I'm this body, and I went to school here and I was born here and I'm going to die there. So that's all just conditioning that people are believing these thoughts. But if at this very moment, if you just wipe out all of your thoughts and beliefs about yourself, what are you?
Well, I can get an A if I say the right answer, which is awareness, right?
Well, it's not even really a name. Like even that, like when David had said, you're the infinite being, having a human experience, that was kind of like a pointer for me. So it kind of pointed in my direct experience what this is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people call it awareness, awakeness, but these are all just words. Even words can't do it. It's just almost like, it's like seeing it, like just for yourself, like knowing it, like without an answer, I would say, like, what is this? Like if I say, there's no thoughts here, or if I take away language right now, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my experience too. I ask what is this me, or who am I, or whatever the self-inquiry question is, and it usually it keeps coming back to an idea or a concept like pure
Yeah.
awareness or knowingness, but then that's something. Then what knows that? What knows that
Right.
concept? And when I keep going back, when I hit the point where I just cannot come up with any words whatsoever and just relax and just be that. That seems to me where it's at.
Yeah, my best advice in that situation would be just give up. Give
Yeah.
up the thinking, just because what happens is you give up, you burn out. And that's one of the things that the radical non-duality does. It really like, you know, it shuts down like the character or the separate person. It makes you see through there's no separate person here. They do it so much that they really don't acknowledge, the human experience, because we're still having the human experience. But when you take that person away, then kind of like the seeking stops, because if you look around right now, there's no person here. Like this person called Rob is just a collection of thoughts that I've believed and I've been conditioned to believe, that operates in the world of duality. But if we can just, some people get, they'll get to the point where they keep seeing through it. There's nothing, like a lot of them will say, there's nothing here, there's no person here. And when you see that for yourself, oh, there's nobody here, you get frustrated with it. Like you said, you were doing the back and forth. There was this person that was trying to understand this, but there's always this silent beingness that's right here in the background the whole time. It's just that people overlook it because the attention comes up and goes right to the thoughts, and you automatically identify or you overlook it very quickly. But it's just always what's right here the whole time. It's still here. It's right here, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have never felt that separate self, that sense of the separate self was anything that actually had to go away, or
Right now.
even didn't exist, which the mind tends to argue with. And why invite that?
Right.
But for me, it got demoted into just another appearance in the vast beingness, like the sounds that I hear, the trees
Yeah.
that I'm looking at. It's just another, that me, the little me, is just another appearance.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really have to go away. Or if you have trouble, if some people have trouble with the teaching, the separate self doesn't exist.
Mhm.
And I've always said, well, why say nothing? Why say anything doesn't exist? Why not
Right.
say everything exists and all is consciousness, all is awareness, or all is that unnamed, unnameable beingness?
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like in talking with people, it's like it happens differently. Like the awakening, some people, it just all depends on like what you're resonant. That's why I tell people, like, what are you resonating with at this particular time? Like usually the way I'll start the mirror calls with people, I'll just be like, what's alive for you right now? And then I kind of just meet people wherever they're at, acknowledge them exactly where they're at, and then just slowly maybe give like little pointers here or there, like who is it that's observing that, or this appearance that's happening here, what is it that's aware of this character? Or if an emotion comes in, they're being emotional, what is this emotion that's here? What is it that's aware of that? I'm kind of just pointing them back to the impersonal beingness that's here. And we're still having the human experience, to your point. There's no need to negate that. It's obvious that that's what we're having. So it's okay for the human experience to be here. In fact, I encourage people to make the human experience as delightful and joyful as possible. And the way you can do that, because our true nature is joyful, it's relaxed, it's effortless, it's pristine. It's just this awake presence that's here. And the human experience, you can align your life that way in your everyday life, follow your intuition, whatever feels effortless, feels easy, feels calming, And I always say, like, because a lot of people ask, well, how do I make decisions and do things like that? What you can do is, like, if a thought's coming and you feel expansive, that's coming from your true nature. But like if a thought's coming and you're feeling like really like limited and contracted, then that's not really coming from your true nature. It's almost like these thoughts are coming, like to your point, effortlessly. They're effortlessly arising in this space of beingness that we all are. It's coming up, but people are personalizing the thoughts and they're grabbing it and saying, oh, that applies to me. Or a lot of people use that illustration, which was helpful to me, is like you have the sky, right? The sky is what you are, the presence, and you have the clouds that are floating by, and those clouds are like thoughts that are floating by. but the sky doesn't like reach down to the cloud and try to control it or personalize it, saying, oh, you know, this applies to me. You know, it kind of just like to your point, it allows everything to come. Everything's welcome. All feelings, you know, all thoughts are welcome to come. It's just that when you see through it and you realize that you're the background, you're the presence, you're the beingness, these are all pointers again. You know, when you realize that, then there's no need to really control it. Everything's allowed, and it doesn't affect you the same way because it's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, Robert, does anything at this point trigger you or catch you? Like, for example, you know, right now I have a beloved dog that is on her last legs, really.
Sorry.
And it's you know, challenging. I have access to beingness, and then there's you know, the emotional roller coaster of that comes up when I see her having a hard time. I'm wondering, first of all, do you ever experience that? And if so, how do you handle that? Or what would you say to people going through that?
Yeah, Jonathan, first of all, I want to say sorry. I mean, I have a dog too, so I'm very close to my dog, and those experiences that you're having are totally normal. And to be honored that you even just share that, you know, with me here on this call, that's, you know, that's something that's very dear to your heart. And, you know, I honor that completely, you know, and I can relate to that because I have a dog and I haven't gone through the experience that you're going through. But I mean, I can only imagine how that feels. And it's okay for that feeling to be here. It's okay for that to be here. There's no need to stop it or to control it. You can just be right here. Be right
I
here
know
in what you are.
something that's interesting. I remember when we interviewed Adyashanti, he said a major part of his awakening was when his beloved dog died. And I can feel sometimes just riding the wave of love and sadness that I feel. And then sometimes I notice like little tensions in my body, which I would call like resisting that. And when I notice that, I just try to relax again. And you know, it's quite a ride, and a lot of people are going through, you know, something similar. And I'm wondering what if you would still experience that, and if so, what you say to people going through that.
Yeah, like I said, I would honor them first, you know, meet them where they're at and meeting you where you're at and saying that it's okay for that to be here. It's part of the human experience. Everything is allowed. So I would just say be with that, honor that, you know, and then when you come from that place of beingness and allowing it, you're not resisting it. What you'll find is if you just hold it, you know, hold that in love, you just hold it in love, you know, right there and just be with it, you know, really feel it, you know, like honor it here and just be there with it, be conscious of it. You'll find that it'll automatically dissipate.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We often talk about the second arrow. First arrow is the pain that you're feeling or the suffering, and the second arrow is the idea that it shouldn't be there.
Right.
And that seems to cause the more suffering.
Yeah, and it's okay even for that thought to be here. That's
Yes.
okay to be here too. Like everything's okay to be in this space of beingness because you're remaining as the all-allowing space of beingness the whole time, the permanent, impersonal beingness, this space of beingness. All of these feelings, all of these human experiences that we're having, they're all allowed and they're to be honored to be right there. And just you hold them in love and you let them be there and you'll find they dissipate in this overwhelming love of beingness that we all are.
That's beautiful.
It's that presence is so like it's like this like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it's like this like when you drop into beingness, like we're getting out of the mind now and the thoughts and you just drop into your heart, into your beingness. The presence, you know, is very strong. That's here, and it's all love, it's all allowing, you know. So it holds everything in this space, and everything is welcome and everything is love. It's almost like you're putting your arms around it and loving it and transmuting whatever emotions and thoughts are coming into love. So you honor it and you be there with it and it's okay. And then watch what happens.
Yeah.
Everything you say is reminding me of why I so much resonate with you and your book, Awakening to Effortless Being. realizing your infinite self. And one of the things I love about your book is its conciseness, because each topic presents a major theme and then expands on it, and then it gives a set of practical ways to apply it. So not only are you helping point to effortless being, but as you mentioned, some things work for some people and some things work for others, and you have a whole repertoire of practical ways.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was putting the book together. Because because I do what you guys do. Like I'll talk. Well, I do like what they call mirror calls, and that's where I'm just like people will meet like one-on-one with me, like on a Zoom call, kind of like what we're doing here. And they'll go and I'll just say what's alive for you, and they'll tell me whatever it is that they want, and I just kind of just mirror back to them, you know, acknowledge them, and then it just kind of mirror back their true nature. Not like I'm doing it, but it's like the presence is doing it. I'm just kind of holding the space for them. But the whole time I'm looking at the person, I'm looking at you too right now. I don't see like what I'm seeing is that you're the infinite being. I see you as whole. I see you as complete. I know consciousness is playing the game of being a character and having these limitations. I don't see you that way. I see like I hold everybody on those mirror calls, in that space of love and of wholeness and of health and of joy and of abundance. That's the way I see you. I don't see you in the other ways like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say to that point with the book, that's what I was thinking, because a lot of people, like I said earlier, wherever they're at with awakening, they're at different places, and you never know what's gonna, it could be a word in a book, it might be, something happens, or they hear a sound, like maybe they smell something. I don't know. It could be anything could trigger, this realization of what you are. The thing is, it's right here, right now. So it's not really, like a
You
big
don't have to
thing.
go anywhere.
No, it's literally right here. I mean, if you just look right now, and you just, take away everything you believe about yourself, all your thoughts, all your conditioning, what's left? What's here? This is what it is. This is what everyone's pointing to. This is what it is. Everyone knows what this is.
I'm curious. I haven't read your book yet. I plan to. And you've done a lot of these mirror sessions. What are some of the pointers that you found resonate with people?
Yeah, a lot of them, like I would say the direct pointers. Like if I say to somebody, like, there's no past and no future, what's here?
Mm-hmm.
Or if I say, let's take away the observer, what's left?
Well, let's see. Well, some people think of the observer as a good thing, or they associate to awareness. So when you're saying that, what are you trying to help people to see?
Yeah, so maybe on a mirror call, like maybe they're the person, they're expressing to me, Rob, I'm really stressed out, I have a lot of anxiety, or something like this. And I can kind of just direct them and say, like, what is it that's, aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
And do you see an observer there? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I see this observer, I see this person, Rob, Joan, Brian, Jonathan here, experiencing all that. And then I would say, okay, now if we take away the observer, what's left? What's here? Is there a problem in this moment right now?
I
Without
like
going to
that
the mind.
because I like that because in a certain way, I think of like, witness consciousness or observer is almost like a stepping stone from identifying with a character to maybe a less less contracted identity. And then some people get stuck in that, and then you take away the character of the observer,
Yeah.
and then you have non-duality.
Right. It's just what's here. It's funny
Yeah.
because a lot of people, some people I talk to have read Eckhart Tolle's books, The Power of Now and
A New
New
Earth.
Heaven, New Earth, and a lot of them like that I talk to that have read that. I should say a lot of them. Some of them they tend to get stuck in like I have to maintain, this presence. They think that like it's almost like the character Rob is trying to maintain this presence. Like there's two presences here, like almost like so. It's just trying to get them to see, that there's not two presences here. There's not, it's not Rob here maintaining this presence. Rob's here appearing within this permanent presence that's here. That's all that's happening. So it's just kind of getting them to to see that. So it just depends. Like different. I've noticed different spiritual teachings, can take different people on different paths, but there's other people that it doesn't. So that's why I said there's so many teachings out there. I would just say follow your intuition and what resonates with you, and you'll kind of know that because it'll feel open, expand. In fact, everyone's intuition's been leading them up to this point anyway. My intuition has, yours has. We're all being led that. It's nothing that I'm doing, you're doing. It's equality here. There's no one better than anyone else. It's just this simple presence that's here, and our intuition's been guiding us the whole time. So there's really nothing serious going on. There's, all is well, actually.
It's so interesting what you say about the presence, and because it's already here. There isn't, then I think that's what you mean by effortless being.
Yeah.
And I took a bunch of notes on your book, and I just
Goodness.
went to my notes and I searched for the word already, which appears 10 times in just my notes from your book. Like, it's, and this is my favorite word. You're already enough. It's
Yes.
already whole, already complete. It doesn't need you to add anything to it.
Nope.
What if you're already complete? Simply being aligned with who you already are. And I think this is so important a point, because and it, in keeping with your title of Effortless Being, beingness, everyone thinks they really have to do something and work hard and concentrate, and it doesn't seem to be like that. It's already here. It just sort of waiting to be noticed, waiting to look beyond all those thoughts of problems and past and presents.
That's beautiful how you express that, because that's the truth. It's already here. This presence is here for everyone. It's just that the mind's coming in after and making a story about it and saying that you're not here. And then people start going on this search where they have these high expectations of what this presence should be. It should be like fireworks going off. And then life is just going to be like, I'm going to be enlightened and walk around in bliss all day. That's not what this is. It's just, all it is just a clear seeing of this presence that's always been here. It's quietly waiting for us to notice it, because it's always here. All of us are remaining as that right here, right now, in this moment. There's no one that's listening to this that isn't that already. It's just that consciousness is playing this game. It's almost like a game of hide and seek, the way it sees here that it's doing, but everything is whole and complete, and we are already that. We don't need anything more. There's nothing to add to this. It's already whole and complete. The mind will come in and say, oh, you're not whole, you're not complete. You need to do this, you need to do that to get enlightened, or, that's not what this is. It's just the simple ordinary of the stillness that's already here.
Mm-hmm. Use the term intuition, and I want to dive into that because, I'm a coach and therapist, and I'll sometimes use that term, and then people will say, well, how do I know the difference between my intuition and all the other voices in my head? And I have my pat answer, but I'm curious how you would answer that.
Yeah, I would say that, if it feels, I would just like direct them, like, how does it feel in your body? Does it feel, is this thought that you're having, is it feeling expansive, and open, or is it feeling contracted and limited? Then you have your answer.
Well, you must have read my books, because that's my answer.
I read your books. You have some books out. I wasn't even aware. I'm sorry.
I'm joking with you. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good answer. And for some people, it takes some training even to make that distinction, because they're not focused on their body, or they're not aware of contraction and expansion. But I think that's a really good way of differentiating those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of simple. I just think that the mind comes in and we overcomplicate this whole thing. It's not. That's I always like when I start interviews and stuff. I always like to say, like, let's put a disclaimer out there. This is pretty ordinary. This is what is already here, and we're making this big thing about it. There's no fireworks going off. It's very ordinary. It's just this beingness that's here, this open space of beingness that's always been here, and it's always going to be here. And that's what you are. And everything else is arising effortlessly. There's no effort required to be. Everything's arising effortlessly and equally in this space of beingness that you are. It's really that simple.
Well, it is that simple. And then there's how do you integrate that into the life of working and relationships and money and all that? Because for some people, it can be very disruptive to those things. I know when I was first awakening, I wanted to like almost slap people and say, well,
It's
why
great.
are you talking about that? That has nothing to do with anything going on right now.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that transition was challenging for you, or if you
Yeah,
had
I
any.
get that. I mean, like I said, when I first realized it, I was sitting in the backyard and just like, staring at the trees and like stuff like that. My wife was like, well, you gotta go back to work. Like I was like, oh yeah, like, oh, work, okay. Like, and it was just almost like, it's almost like, I don't know, like after self-realization, I saw that there was like no doer here, like doing it. Like this, I didn't actually see like a person like doing it, and it was almost like I was experiencing the world like. I was just letting whatever effortlessly came through. It's almost like, and it's almost like I'm watching myself like doing all these things, but it doesn't feel like there was anyone doing it. It felt effortless. I guess that's why I say effortless being. It's almost like it's coming through you. And if it's time to go to work, it's almost like the body just automatically does it. Does that make any
Yeah,
sense? Like it's just like it just flows through and it feels effortless and it kind of just moves you automatically. It's like nothing I'm doing or planning. It's like this is just
happening.
happening automatically. It's just kind of like breathe, like we say, like breathing or blinking. Like yeah, it's just happening automatically. It's like not I'm not sitting here controlling my heartbeat right now. It's just happening effortlessly. So in my everyday life, Rob gets up and goes to work. I was like, I watch him sometimes. Like, oh, it's cute. Like noticing him do his thing. It's kind of it's more lighthearted now. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that seriousness you had before because you kind of like you see through it and it's like an okayness here, I would say. It's
Yeah.
fine just the way it is. And there's no need to worry about like and it's all gonna happen automatically, and the mind likes to come in and say it. But think about this, like the whole time, even before realizing it yourself, this was all happening anyway. You know? I thought Rob was controlling and doing all this. Well, guess what? I wasn't. This was just what was happening effortlessly anyway. But I had thought, and then that was where like the suffering coming in because you're identifying with a separate self, thinking you're control it. Then if it doesn't turn out the way you think, then you start worrying. There's none of that now because it's like because that life takes care of life, and life is just lifing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about your book. In chapter 19, you wrote about the limitless possibilities of the infinite. And I want to dig into a little bit. I understand with self-realization that we see our true nature as boundless, infinite timelessness, but how does that apply to the body and mind? I mean, for example, surely I can't expect if I start at 72, I could become a professional tennis player.
Yeah.
Or could I?
Yeah.
I mean,
like I'm just saying,
when you say
yeah.
limitless possibilities.
Yeah, there's unlimited possibilities right here, right now, in this moment. It's because prior to that, we had believed ourselves to be like a separate person, and there was a lot of conditioning, and we put like a lot of limitations on ourselves. But when you see through it, you see that you're the pristine, infinite being. That there's infinite possibilities here in this space of consciousness. There's just this field of consciousness, and it can take shapes and patterns, and it can do anything that it wants to do. So it's unlimited. It's infinite possibilities that can happen in this space. There's no limits on consciousness and what it can do.
So then so is it just the belief that because of that we might have certain physical limitations that we couldn't, or we couldn't become a chess player or a mathematician or a sports person? Is that just belief and or not connecting with the limitless infinite?
Yeah, I would just say that there's really, you don't want to put any limits on it. Like those are all words that we're using or functions in the world or being a certain person or doing a certain thing. But as far as consciousness is concerned, it can do anything. I mean, as far as the character Rob, it just depends on, what the conditioning was. And does Rob see, now that from self-realization, you can see through, okay, Rob really didn't have those you can kind of build the character how you want to build it, so to speak. Because you're not having those limitations with the character anymore. It's like it's starting over from like point zero, and then you can, like for the character Rob, for example, I would say, I would program him as, he can do or have anything he wants. Everything is good. Good things happen to him all the time. Like you can build your character that way, then you'll find and change the nature of the human experience. The human experience, can be more delightful. It can be more joyful, more in alignment with your true nature. having that self-respect for yourself to have your everyday life in such a way, that it's a fun life, it's an enjoyable life, it's a life of ease and
Yeah,
play, almost like a little kid. Like you can kind of build it that way.
yeah, that really makes sense to me. So it's much less about the story of whether this body has particular limitations, but that the feeling of having a life of joy
Mhm.
is there, and that is limitless.
Yes, that is limitless. And isn't that what everybody wants? Everybody wants happiness without sorrow. But what people don't realize is it's right here, right now. This is almost like heaven on earth right now. It's like right here. People are they're wanting to change it or have a certain situation, or they want to come into a certain amount of money, have a perfect relationship, the perfect health. It's none of that. It's right here, right now. Because in this moment, right here, everything is here. This is like paradise right here, right now, in this moment. It's only when we go to the mind and we believe the thoughts about it that it has to be something different. That's where the suffering comes in. That's where you're not going to see it as heaven on earth. But from
Yeah.
the infinite being's perspective, everything is whole and complete. Everything's allowed within here. Everything is fine just the way it is. It's there's so much joy and delight right here in this moment. It's almost like I was talking to somebody and they were saying we were talking about this and she was saying how when she was doing the dishes, even that, well, like some ordinary, like is doing the dishes with her was like extraordinary. It's like almost like she could feel the water going on the hands. Like I don't know, like all like the senses were more. I don't know. It was just like the simplicity of it, you know. I mean,
Mhm.
I know that too. Like before this call, I just I went for a walk with my wife out in nature and just like the simple things, just walking out, the silence, the beingness, being out in nature. It's just like those things are so magical. It's like worth more than $1 million kind of thing. It's like, but it's right here. It's just that we're overlooking it because this mind or this commentary is coming in, these beliefs, you can think of them like as invitations, to go on a ride. They're all, you have a choice. You can choose to entertain them and believe them and personalize them, or you can just let them pass by in the open window of beingness that you are.
Yeah, the mind seems to put conditions on happiness. I will be
Yes.
happy if I have this experience and I don't have this experience. But when those conditions are let go of, I think that's approaches what it sounds to me like you're talking about, infinite possibilities.
Yeah, the truth is, it's the opposite of that. It's almost like the mind will come in, the dualistic world will come in and give it to you the opposite of the truth of what it is. Because the truth is, everything is whole and complete right here, right now. Everything is fine in this moment. Everyone can check in their direct experience right now. Just look right here, like what is really wrong, like in this moment? Like, are there any problems in this moment? Unless you start going to your stories, you start going to the past, the future, you start believing thoughts. But if I'm just saying, like right here in this eternal now, all is well.
Mhm.
It's like my favorite book title of Sailor Bob, What's Wrong with Right Now? Unless
Love
you think
that.
about it.
Yes. I love when he says that. That totally resonates with me.
Mhm.
Yeah, too bad Sal Bob's not with us anymore, right?
Yeah, no,
He was a great teacher.
he was.
We interviewed his wife recently, and she was fascinated. One of the things I found interesting there, is he had just recently died like a month earlier, and I asked her how that was for her, and she said, you know, uh, not a problem.
Yeah. Doesn't have to
Yeah,
be, right?
yeah, right, right.
It's only if you want to go on that ride or, that invitation, like, that belief that because society today, they kind of make it like, when a person dies, like there has to be like, you have to be like solely consumed in this grief and it has to overwhelm you. And it's okay for the grief to be there, and you can just be
Mhm.
with that. But at the same time, it's not, it doesn't have to be this like full blown out, thing because you realize, they're still here. There's still the presence here of them, is
Yeah,
here.
the love of Sailor Bob was still with her.
Definitely.
She didn't
Definitely.
feel like she was really missing. I'm wondering if you, at this point in your journey, if you do any practice, meditation, or anything that is in any way what you would consider some kind of practice or method.
Not really.
Uh-huh.
I'm being honest, I just kind of go through that. I mean, I do like having talks with people about this, like
Uh-huh.
doing the mirror calls and talking to them. That's kind of fun. I do like walking out in nature and being in nature a lot and just
Mhm.
I like being in the stillness. I make time each day just to I don't know, maybe is that a meditation? I guess it depends on how you use the word. Maybe, like
Yeah.
that some people might say that's a meditation, just being out in nature, just sitting on the bench, just looking just being like marinating in the beingness, like
That's a
Just
nice
being,
term, marinate in the beingness. I like that term.
yeah, it just kind of came. Yeah. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right, right.
Sitting with it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Any last questions, Brian, or any last things you want to say? I hear you're going to be guiding us in some kind of
Sure.
call it meditation or not meditation.
I do. I
Yeah,
have one
whatever.
more question before we get to the guided meditation. Because in your book you have a whole chapter on manifesting, and
Yeah.
it seems that from what I read in the book, you and I are pretty much on the same page about this, except
Okay.
that I tend to shy away from the word manifesting
Mhm.
because it seems like it's a trap for people. Like it's going to, people seem to think that it means getting what you want is the key to happiness, or the idea that you have any control over anything, or the idea that effort is required, or the emphasis on desires. Now, I know I'm not saying you're saying that. I think you're saying
Right,
the
right, right.
opposite. So how is it different from all of that?
Yeah, I mean, manifesting, we're all doing it naturally anyway. Manifesting is just, what's appearing in here. It's like the infinite being is, or life is lifing, so that's just manifest. There's no separate person here actually manifesting it. It's just what's happening naturally. And I think the reason why I put that in there, because there was a lot of, like I said, there was a lot of people in the law of attraction community that believe, that you can create your own reality, as a person, you can control it. And I just was trying to reach that audience to help them to appreciate that this manifesting, it's all happening effortlessly. It's almost like, getting them to see that this is what's happening, that just what's coming. And you can still like align your life, in a way, that's joyful and that's easy and getting that fulfillment, right here, right now by turning it back, and looking at what you are, because the true fulfillment and the true happiness, comes from realizing what you truly are. Then everything else, in life just tends to align effortlessly. Like things can just, whatever you want to call manifest or just come into your life, effortlessly. Because life does take care of life, when you recognize it. But a lot of people in the law of attraction community that are manifesting, a lot of them, because I do, miracles with a lot of them are coming from a place of they're not happy already, so they're in lack, and so they're wanting, like we were talking about earlier, they're wanting that relationship, they're wanting that trip, they're wanting that, that health or that money, or because they think that's going to make them happy. But that's not the case. What makes us happy is realizing, what we truly are is the pristine, infinite being. We're already whole and complete. There's nothing lacking here. There's no lack. Everything is right here, right now. And the happiness and the joy is right here, right now. So there's no need to go out and get anything. And there's no person here really to go out and get anything. It's all, like I said, life is lifing. It's all flowing through. And we can just allow it to flow through, and life will take care of life. And it can be a beautiful life, like we said, making decisions, being expansive and open, rather than feeling contracted. Feel your intuition as it comes through. It'll guide you. It's guiding all of us up to this point already.
Great. Lovely.
Well said. And I hear that you can point us in a direction that will help us to realize what's already here. So I'll
Wow,
give you
that's a lot
that.
of pressure. Sure. All right. Okay, everybody, in this moment, if we could just give your attention to your breath, just breathe in and then breathe out, just giving your attention to that, not expecting anything, just kind of relaxing into this moment. No expectations, just being right here, right now, being still. Any thoughts that come, let them come. Any beliefs that you've had about yourself, just kind of just let them go. You can put them off to the side and pick them up when you're done. Any kind of beliefs, thoughts, thinking about the future, thinking about things in the past, just become open and empty and just kind of put that all aside and kind of just rest into this stillness, this silence, this presence, the space between the words. Erase the language, the history, the expectations. What's silent? What's right here, right now? This stillness, this awareness, this presence. Can it get sick? Does it have any problems? Can it die? Is it worried about what's next? Is all well right now? Everything is spacious and open. This field of beingness. Drop down into your heart. You can feel the beingness, the aliveness that's always been here and always will be here. That which is noticing everything. That which notices all thoughts that come up. That which notices any feelings and emotions in the body or in this space of beingness. And it's all okay to be here. There's a love here for everything. There's an allowance for everything. There's a knowingness that all is well. Your intuition knows this already. This is what you've always been. This open space of beingness, this impersonal space of consciousness. It's always here. It's always been here. You know this. You are this consciousness. You are this space of beingness. Know that for yourself, without the words, without the language, in your direct experience. Know this. Watch how life takes care of life. All is well. All is peace. All is love. Marinate in that beingness. Okay, you can open your eyes now.
I like how, there's so many pointers there, and some will resonate with people, some will just be words. And I think part of our job is to find those words or pointers that really do work for us, and just keep them in mind. And whenever you lose yourself into something, just say those pointers and get back to beingness.
Yeah, and don't be hard on yourself. It's okay. It's okay if you do get lost in that, because nothing's ever lost. This stillness, this effortless being is here the whole time.
It's hard to lose something that's always here.
Oh, yeah. It's just that you take your attention off and you get lost. It's okay. And then you can rewind it and look back and just laugh at it. Like, oh, how adorable Brian and Jonathan were as the character doing their thing. It's okay. All is well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found all those pointers were working for me, and to such an extent that any objection would come and just be hilarious. I mean, it would just
become funny when you watch it.
And then it would just drop. This is go away.
Yeah, it just kind of dissipates.
Yeah,
that space
so
of
there was a
beingness.
lot of experience, a lot of, I don't know what you would call it, humorous joy in just being. No more words.
Well, that's beautifully expressed. You're a beautiful being.
Mm-hmm.
Too. I'm so glad.
I can feel it. Both of you.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you, Robert?
You can go to. I have a website, www.effortlessbeing.net. You can go on there and do mirror calls or check out the books. Whatever resonates.
That
Do you have more
sounds
than
good.
one book? Or is it to the
Seems
Awaken
like you
to Death
co-wrote
is-
a bunch of books.
Yeah, there's a few books on there. The latest one that came out was The Mirror is the Medicine, that just came out. That was all kind of like what I was demonstrating on the calls with you that I do with people, just kind of my experiences in doing that.
Yeah. And I'm glad that at least Awakening to Effortless Being is on Audible, because I'm too lazy to actually. I'm really effortless. I'm too lazy to actually read, but I can listen to something.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that. I would like to get other books on there. It's just, depending on when's the right timing, what it feels like. They do charge more to put them on the Audible, but I really felt like with that one, I really wanted to do it. So it's not even my voice on there. I had hired somebody to do the voice, because I'm not really, I don't know. But it was easier that way.
Yeah, more effortless.
More effortless. Yeah, I like effortless. If it's easy and effortless, I got the means, I'll do it. If I don't, then that's just not the right time. And that's okay too. It's not like I'm not here to save the world. I'm just one, average guy, just, going through life. And I just share what I know or what I have, my experience. And I just try to uplift and love people wherever they're at. That's
We
where I'm
surely
at.
need as much of that as possible in today's world. Yeah.
Very good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was great. And I love the pointers and your contagious joy. And any last words, Brian?
Well, I just want to thank David Farmer for suggesting that we get in touch with Robert. It was such a great idea. And thank you, Robert. I can't wait for our listeners to share in this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Thank you
to
so
our
much.
listeners, thank you for our Patreon supporters. If you're interested in supporting us, getting a bunch of free stuff, go to patreon.com/awareness explorers. Until next time, as always, keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Thank you for listening to Awareness Explorers. To learn more, you can check out our website at awarenessexplorers.com. Please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. We'd love it if you would post a review. And please share our link on Facebook and with family and friends, because knowing yourself as awareness is the greatest gift you can give yourself or someone you love.